on planning for the pets, people, and things you care about. My animal humane adoptee, Wheatley, and I think that you are all superheroes for taking the time today to learn about planning for your pets. I'm Stephanie Miller. I'm the Director of Major Gifts here at Animal Humane. I've got my contact information here. We'll be sharing it after the webinar today as well. And we should have some time for Q&A. My colleague Erica will be monitoring the questions that are coming in. There's a Q&A tab that should be at the bottom of your screen. You can use that to submit questions. Many of you submitted questions earlier. I've tried to incorporate all of those into the presentation, but I will say that I field inquiries every week almost from people who want to do planning for their pets. And normally I actually talk one-on-one with folks. And I enjoy doing that. I find it's very worthwhile because everybody has a unique situation. They have their own questions or concerns about their pets. So although I'm giving this webinar to you as a group, I am happy anytime to talk with you one-on-one. As part of that, I also usually meet with people in person, especially if the plan for their pet is to come here to Animal Humane. I'm happy to give a tour anytime, and I'm happy to do that when it's safe to do that. Again, that can give real peace of mind, even if perhaps you've been here to adopt or maybe attend a class. It's a little different to see the campus from the perspective of if your pet would possibly be living with us, where they would be living, where they would be sleeping, where they would go on walks, that kind of thing. So please keep that in mind as we are talking today. So when I talk to people about pet planning, I encourage them to think of it in two phases. Short term, and by short term, I mean, let's say heaven forbid something did happen to you, to think about what your pets would need just for 1 day, 2 or 3 days until they were able to move on to what is the longer term plan you have for them. And that longer term plan would be, of course, their new adoptive permanent home, which could be somebody you know, a family or friend, or it might be an organization, a rescue group like Animal Humane, who will be finding your pet's next adoptive home. So for the short term, I recommend that you identify someone that we would call like a pet agent. So this is not necessarily the person who is the long-term plan for your pet, but there's somebody who just agrees to fulfill a temporary role. And that role is to know how many pets you have and to know what your wishes for those pets are and fulfill them. And so this pet agent is somebody that you trust and is willing to, if, for example, they receive a call and find out that you've passed away, they know how to get into your home, they can get past your security system, they can feed your pets, ideally in your home for a day or 2 or 3 until that next phase can be arranged. And they also ideally are somebody who can handle coordinating the transportation to your pet's next longer term place where they will be taken care of. So we have several resources to help with this phase, including an emergency wallet card, and these are things that I'm happy to share with you. So I have this card in my wallet right behind my driver's license, and it lets anybody who's reading it know how many pets I have and an emergency contact. There's also a note there if on the other side, if your plan is for your pet to come to Animal Humane, there's a phone number there that several of us here always answer. an emergency magnet for your refrigerator. You, of course, could also use just a note. Many first responders, when they come into a home, they look on the refrigerator for this kind of information. So again, here are the names of your pets, emergency contact, and then also a box where you can check off, I give my emergency contact here permission to take care of my pets. A window decal, I have one of these by our front door, and it would let first responders like firefighters know that we have a dog in the house and who the emergency contact is if we aren't at home. And again, I have versions of these I'm happy to share with you if you just contact me and let me know that you would like copies. So longer term. So this is, as I said, what would be the permanent adopter for your pet, or it could be Animal Humane or a rescue group who would be finding the next parent or family for your pet. And the main tool that we have for that is something called Pet Planning Profiles. And we've got versions for dogs and cats, and I know the copy here is very dense. I don't expect you to be able to read it. I just want to show you what one looks like. And over the years, as we've talked with people and we've worked with people in situations where we've had to receive their pets, we've compiled a list of questions. It's a very long list. This is a 2-page document. And I tell people that it's a guide to help you sit down and think about what you think is important for the next adopter for your pet to know about your pet. Very often, or most of the time, when a pet comes to Animal Humane, we actually don't know that much about them. We have tools to assess their behavior. We treat every animal as an individual, and we take the time and put in the energy to get to know them. But if we know the kind of information that is on this profile, it can make the transition for us and for anyone helping take care of your pet, make the transition just a lot easier. So there are questions on here, for example, how does your pet behave when they're frightened? Has your pet ever lived with children or other dogs and cats? Certainly, do they have any medical conditions? And I tell people, just look at this list and answer the questions that are relevant for your pet. You don't have to answer all of them. And if your plan is for your pet to come to Animal Humane, we ask that you put this information in writing and you share it with us. And for every person we work with, we have a digital file and a paper file where we keep this information. I tell folks they can email this information to me. They don't have to have it compiled all at once. Just you can send answers to these questions in bits and pieces as you think of things. You can certainly update this information at any time, and I will just keep gathering it in your file. So some examples of what other folks have done. This pet owner wrote up paragraphs describing each of her pets, and you can see she's provided photos. This person organized this information as a spreadsheet, and he's highlighted the items that he felt were particularly important, such as the kind of pet food his dog likes, that his dog sleeps on his bed with him, that the dog knows how to use a doggy door. So you can imagine how this information would be helpful to anybody who is going to be the next custodian parent for your pet, even if your pet isn't coming to Animal Humane. So these also, I will be providing copies of these to everyone on the webinar. And also, I forgot to mention, we will be following up with the slides that I'm showing you today, and also a live recording of this webinar. So you don't necessarily have to take notes. Now, over the months and years that we've talked with people, there are common questions that come up for folks. So I've incorporated those into my presentation. And then also a lot of you submitted some really great questions that I'm going to incorporate also. So as I'm talking, maybe you didn't have any particular questions and you find yourself thinking of questions. If they're not answered, or if you think of them in the coming days, again, you are welcome to follow up with me directly, and I'm happy to talk with you. So one question I receive a lot is, do I have to include a gift in my estate to Animal Humane New Mexico if my pets are coming to you? And the short answer is no. You do not have to leave a gift for us. Many people do. Estate gifts are certainly a very important part of how we fund our mission, and they are appreciated. A gift will certainly help pay for the care of your pets, and then also it will help many of the stray and homeless pets that we take care of and adopt out every year, but it's not required. Can I leave you or their next adopter a trust or a gift to pay for my pet's future care? Do I need a will to leave specific funds to care for my pets? So there are two parts of this question. I'm actually going to answer the second part first. Is no, you don't necessarily need a will to leave a gift for us or for a pet custodian, but you can use other vehicles if you do want to leave a gift. You can, for example, you may not have a will, but you can, for example, make us or a guardian the beneficiary of a savings account or an investment or retirement account. You can take out a life insurance policy specifically for this purpose that again leaves a beneficiary a gift for the care of their pet. You can set up a pet trust. That is another alternative, and an estate planner or an estate attorney can help you do this. Pet trusts are becoming more and more popular, I think, as more people do pet planning. So just some things to think about with each option. If you leave a cash gift in your will to a person or to a guardian, that they don't have any legal obligation to actually use that money for the care of your pet. It becomes their cash, so they can use it for whatever they want. So obviously it's important to find somebody that you know well and that you trust will use the money in the manner that you intended. If you decide to go the route of a pet trust, then you need to find a separate trustee for that trust who's not the same person who's the adopter. They shouldn't be the same person. And I've done some reading on pet trusts, and it's assumed overwhelmingly that you have a family member or friend that you know well to assign to be the trustee. So this is, again, somebody that you can confirm ahead of time is willing to fulfill this role for you. If you don't have a friend or family member who you feel would be a good trustee, you can hire a professional company to do that, like Zia Trust here in town. They do pet trusts. The thing to keep in mind if you do go with a professional trust company is that they will charge a fee, or they will take fees from your estate to manage that trust every year as long as your pet is alive, which might be completely worthwhile to you to have that peace of mind. And again, if you speak with an estate planner, they can help you think through, well, how much would I leave in a trust? How would a trust work? So for example, would an adopter receive a lump sum every year to cover the care of your pet for as long as your pet is alive? Or would the adopter need to submit monthly reimbursement requests to to the trust? Or would they need pre-approval for extraordinary expenses like a veterinary emergency? One question that sometimes comes up is, can I make Animal Humane New Mexico the trustee for a pet trust? And the answer for that is unfortunately no, we will not act as the trustee for a pet trust. You do need to find another entity to fulfill that role for you. A common question is, can you pick up my pets from my home? And no, unfortunately, we cannot do that. So that is why you should find a pet agent, somebody, again, that agrees to do this and is set up with access to your house to do this, to transport your pet. If Animal Humane is taking my pet, does my pet have to actually go to your shelter? And yes, they do. And the reason for this is that we want your pet here with us because that's how we can provide all of the behavioral enrichment and take care of your pet. We have the staff and the volunteers here who are trained to do that. Every pet that comes to us, we treat as an individual, and part of that is providing whatever that pet needs to stay happy and healthy and to find their next adoptive home. This is where the veterinary care is provided, and it's also where we have the adopters come to meet the pets and where our adoption counselors work one-on-one with them to make the best match. This I thought was a great question, so thank you for sending this in. What would happen if the shelter is closed when I pass away, say, for example, during the current pandemic? And the short answer is we would still be able to receive your pet. And that is because although we have been closed to the public and we've moved about 140 of our shelter pets into foster homes, we have still been in operation. We have still had a few pets here just for various reasons. For example, if a dog or a cat is in ringworm treatment, they need to be here in our ringworm treatment ward. Maybe we've had a pet here who is in behavior modification and we don't think they would do well in foster care. We've taken in some emergency strays. So while those pets have been on stray hold, they have been here. And even though we have pets in foster care, we on a daily basis may have a pet coming back from foster care for a vet appointment or to find a different foster home. So all of these activities and situations do require having some animal care staff and veterinary care staff here. So we've had folks here answering the phones. So you would not need to worry about that situation. So someone sent in a question saying, what happens if a family member prefers to keep your pet? Do they get preference? What should we put in our will regarding leaving our pet's care to the Pet Guardian program? So this is a situation that could happen. And so what I would ask is for you to think about what your preference would be so you can let us know. And that could be part of that pet profile information. If your pet is coming to us, that's the kind of thing that if you think it might happen, let us know what you would prefer. I've talked to some people whose preference is they don't want anyone in their family to adopt their pet because they didn't think anyone would be the right fit for their pet. So that's helpful for us to know. Perhaps your preference is, and this is something you can state in your will, that if any family member comes forward, it is your preference that they adopt your pet. But if they don't, then they come to Animal Humane. Or you may have specific people in your family that you would like to have preference. So overall, what is important is to put this information in writing for us, if your pet might be coming to us, for your family, for whoever will be your personal representative. And that, again, it's all about making the transition for your pet go smoothly. If you have designated caregivers for your animals and die unexpectedly, what are the right things to do to be sure your animals can get to these caregivers quickly and directly and not end up temporarily in a shelter situation while a will is in probate? Any suggestions on how to have conversations with friends or families to be sure your directives are followed? So the first part, I think, I hope we've been answering with all of the information I've been giving you with these tools, finding a pet agent who can quickly take care of your pet. The second part of the first question, I wanted to talk about, because they ask about your pet temporarily being in a shelter during probate. If your pet is coming to us, we would, as we do with every pet, our goal would be to find your pet their next adoptive home as quickly as possible. So we, for example, would not have a pet here while a probate is going on in anticipation of then transitioning that pet to whatever the result of the probate is. We would be working to find the pet their next adopter. And no one, of course, would want a pet languishing while an estate is in probate. So that's why if you have in your will who is to be the guardian or who you would like that pet to go to, your personal representative or your estate attorney, they will go ahead and act on that. They do not have to wait for probate to take place for your pet to be taken care of. Let's say you don't have any instructions in your will or any place else for your pet. Again, your personal representative then would be able to go ahead and decide where your pet could go quickly. Your personal representative would not need to wait for probate. That person could go ahead and find the next adopter himself. That person could bring the pet to a rescue like Animal Humane, or they could adopt the pet and keep them. Ideally, you have outlined what you want so everyone knows and that there isn't any question. Any suggestions on how to have these conversations with family or friends? Well, as you've been hearing, it's very important to have pretty direct conversations. So everybody knows exactly what you want. I think those pet planning profiles can help guide you and put down in writing everything that you would like for your pet, so you can, so there isn't any question. I have 4 pets and no children. I want to provide for them via will or trust and keep all of them together in the event that I pass. Well, we've been talking about using a will to leave instructions or the pet planning profile. This person has 4 pets and he or she would like them all to stay together. So that is an important piece of information for whoever you're hoping will take your pets, or whomever, probably would be better to say whoever you agree, you find agreement to take your pet. So if that's a family member or friend, you would want to make clear that you would like all of your pets to stay together and that this person agrees that that is their intention. When pets come to Animal Humane, if they are bonded, we do keep them together. It can take longer for bonded pets to find adoptive homes, but that's fine. We don't have any time limit on how long a pet or pets are here. If they're bonded, we will we will find them a home no matter how long it takes. I will say that sometimes we've had pets surrendered, and the surrendering owner says that they are bonded and they should stay together. And as I said, when pets come in, we assess their behavior. We continue to assess and monitor their behavior. And sometimes we have found that they actually are not particularly bonded. In fact, sometimes they are not doing very well as we're keeping them together. And we find out if we separate them, they actually do better. So we will unbond pets in that situation, and we will adopt them out separately. I am very interested in learning how to make Animal Humane a beneficiary if I die with no surviving relatives. So we are going to talk a little bit more about that. Thank you for those of you who are thinking of including us. So what this person is saying, if they have no surviving relatives, so what they're talking about is making us a contingent beneficiary. And any tool you use, whether it's a will, whether it's a beneficiary form for a savings account or an investment account, does provide the option to leave primary beneficiaries and then secondary or contingent beneficiaries. Other resources that I can share with you, and some of these will be included in the follow-up link you'll all receive, is over the years we have gathered information on some low-cost and free legal resources. We've compiled those into a list. For example, if you are a veteran, there are options for having a will made for free. So we've included information about that for you. Estate planning professionals, again, over the years, we've worked with several because they have been the estate professionals for estates that we've benefited from. So we've gotten to know them through the process of their handling an estate and feel that we can recommend them. Will language samples. So all these different situations I've been describing, we do have examples that can act as a template, and I've got a slide coming up on those. And then an online platform that I will walk you through a little bit and introduce you to that we make available. You can make a will for yourself for free very quickly using freewill.com. So will language samples, we have detailed templates for different examples. I didn't include them all here because that would be a lot of copy to try to include on a slide. But you can see the different kinds of situations. If you are leaving a certain percentage or dollar amount to us or to a pet custodian along with custody of your pet, or if you're leaving custody but not a gift, if family members or a representative is first in line to receive your pet or is not first in line. So I will be sharing all of these with you. And I'll also say too, keep in mind that if you are working on a will and you're working with a lawyer, for example, I've had folks sometimes they will draft this part of the will, and I am happy to review that for you before you finalize it. And sometimes folks have sent, I don't need to see your entire will, but just this section. And sometimes I have made suggested edits that I think either make it clearer or would make it run more smoothly for your pet and for your personal representative. So I'm happy to do that anytime. So this is the section of our website called Legacy Giving, where we have a lot of this information. My follow-up email has a link to this page, and it has information on pet planning, estate, different kinds of estate gifts, like investment accounts, or stock gifts. It has our legal name, which is important if you are including us as a beneficiary. And it also has our tax ID number, which is helpful. Sometimes people, for example, might call us the Humane Society of New Mexico. That's not actually our name. We're not affiliated with the National Humane Society. So if you have our tax ID number, it makes that a lot more clear. And this is also that page on our website. So you can see the second option there says create a will for free. So if you click on that, it will take you to a link for freewill.com/animalhumanenm. That's the URL. So this is a platform we subscribe to, and it's a service that is used by many nonprofits, and it was developed with the intent of overcoming a lot of the reasons why many of us don't have wills. Those reasons include things like a lot of people might think, well, it seems complicated making a will, or it might be confusing or time consuming, or I might need a lawyer and I don't want to work with a lawyer, or I don't feel I have the money to pay a lawyer to do a will for me. So the folks who designed freewill.com, they did it with the intent of creating something that was very user-friendly, that is free. It's free to you. It's anonymous to us, just so you know that. And you can make a will in as little as 15 or 20 minutes using this platform. So what I have is a few screenshots so you can see and just get an idea of how it is laid out. Most of it is multiple choice, and depending on how you answer different questions, it guides you through the steps to gathering your intentions and your wishes to put them into a will. So for example, do you have children is a question that comes up early. If you say yes, then it guides you to specific questions dealing with that. And for us, they have added some questions that will help with planning for your pet. So a question here is, do you have any pets you would like to provide for? And you can also see that each section has a little question mark. If you click on that, a window opens up that describes and gives guidance on how to answer that question or what that question is dealing with. So if you say that you do have pets, for example, one window that comes up is, well, based on your previous responses, let's get some information on your pets. So here they're asking you to name your pets. So let's make plans to look after your pets. Here you can name people that you would like to be responsible for taking care of your pets. You can list multiple people in order. You also have an option here to leave them a gift to help pay for your pet. Also, as you go through the tool, it asks if you would like to include a gift to Animal Humane, and if you would like to include gift to other organizations. And again, if you do choose to leave a gift to Animal Humane, that is anonymous to us, unless you give Free Will permission to let us know. And then as you get toward the end, it gives you several options. You can print out, it will compile everything into a format that you can use to print out a legal will. You can go ahead right from this page, notify the people in your will. And if you do that, an email comes up with a template language that you can adjust. So say, hey, I've included you in my will. Here's the information. Again, that's optional. Or down at the bottom, it says, well, I've changed my mind. I don't want to print this out. I really do want to work with an attorney. Well, then the beauty of this is you can still print it out. And what you've done is you've gathered and organized pretty much all the information an attorney is going to want. So that'll save both of you time, and it can really save you money and make that process go more quickly. You can go back at any time and make changes to what you have made, and you can print out an update. So if you do include Animal Humane in your estate plans and you do let us know, then you become a member of our Constant Companion Society, and thank you for that. And every year we receive wonderful plan gifts, and to recognize those plan giving donors, we have a memorial, a bequest wall. And if you come for a tour at some time, I'm happy to show this to you. It's a really beautiful part of our campus. It wraps around the outdoor catio areas for our adoptable cats. It's very park-like. It has trees and benches. And we have a artist in Corrales, and what she does is, again, if you're not anonymous, we make a name plaque for you, a tile. And if we know what kind of pet you've had, if we have a picture, or maybe we know that you loved orange tabby cats, she will make a portrait of the kind of pet that you have loved, and that will be next to your name. So thank you all for taking the time to plan for your pets. Our pets don't have the capability to get on a computer and do this themselves. So it's wonderful that you are doing this for them. And here's my contact information again. And if we've had some questions, I'm happy to answer those with the help of Erica, if any have come up.
We do, Stephanie. We have two anonymous questions. So the first one is there a pet transport company in New Mexico? The asker lives in Taos.
Not that I know of. No, and unfortunately not that I know of. If you're working with a pet trust company, for example, I've spoken with someone at Zia Trust, and I think they might have an office in Taos. They've got several offices, and they have described to me a situation where for an estate, it wasn't even a pet trust. It was just an estate they were the trustee for. They were handling the estate, and they knew the person who passed away had several cats, and they did go and collect the cats, and they had to go multiple times to get the cats, but they made sure that they got every cat and got them to a rescue organization. But otherwise, no, I don't know. If anyone does know of any, I would certainly love to hear about that.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, and then we have one more that just came in, is should I have a power of attorney in place for my pet?
I don't know. I've never had that question, so I don't think that is necessary. I think you would do that. I guess a power of attorney would come into play if you were incapacitated, but you hadn't passed away. So if you pass away, then, for example, your personal representative or a guardian that you designate would be the person who is authorized to make decisions for your pet. I've never heard of a power of attorney for a pet, but I will ask if that is something that is possible.
Great. And the last question that we have is how easy is it to change the will if your child/pet situation changes?
Well, if you're working with an attorney, then it's just a matter of contacting your attorney and letting them know the change. And they probably can do that very quickly. If you're using a tool like freewill.com, you can just log in and go to that section, make the change, print out a new version, and sign it. Wills in New Mexico do not have to be notarized. If they are notarized, it can make it go more smoothly if anyone contests it. So it might depend on, I guess, what vehicle you use to make your will. You can also do an addendum or a codicil to your will. You can search, there are examples online of amendments where it's something that is, maybe you did your will a few years ago, you don't want to update the whole thing because you just have one change. You can print a separate sheet that's just an amendment and sign that and date it.
And that's all of our questions today.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for joining us. And my wish for all of us certainly is that we outlive our pets, but hopefully we all have more peace of mind for thinking about what would make things as easy as possible for our beloved pets. Thank you.